Hello and welcome to Audible Anomaly, the podcast where we foster deep and meaningful conversation to help get you through your darkest days. I'm your host, Josh, and in today's episode, we are talking about all things related to some of our weird quirks and habits and the likes of which. So let's it should be a good episode, so let's get into it. Let's catch up with my lovely friends here. I'm gonna shoot it over to Kevin. How was your week?
My week was tiring. Started a new job. Had a barbecue over the weekend. Just general excitement. Exhausting, but exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting with the new job. Congrats again.
Thank you.
I know we are definitely looking forward to hearing some more stories about that. Hopefully all positive. But yeah, very exciting stuff. All right, Davey. How about you? How's your week?
Oh, the usual. Tough days at work, long days overall. Even though we had a shorter week, it still felt like I worked 7 days. Just because of the sheer volume of stuff. I did get a raise, if that means anything.
Congratulations.
Does. Also congrats.
Yeah. Had to fight for it a little bit, which wasn't fun. But, you know, I ended up getting what I deserve. So I'm okay with that. Yeah, and the barbecue was nice, and I'm ready for a good day today. Just nice, relaxing before we have to start work again. So, how about you, Josh? How was your week?
Yeah, pretty much bunch of the same. Our weeks tend to mirror each other since, kind of work in the same place. Kind of that works out typically, but yeah, pretty rough at work. I for sure didn't get a lot of what I wanted to do done afterwards because I was just so mentally exhausted from everything that happened at work in general. But yeah, we did a brisket cook, which at least as of recording this, yesterday. So that was very fun. Definitely turned out a lot better than honestly I was expecting, but at the same time, there's some level things that we can improve on for the next time we tackle it. But it was fun. We streamed over at Davey's Twitch pretty much all day, and that was really fun. Kind of just doing dumb things and just hanging out. It's really cool. Had a mini crisis while you were sleeping, which was fun. We ended up running out of pellets. I'm like, oh crap, because I'm using a pellet smoker. So it's a slight crisis, but it was fun. It worked out. Food got cooked and eaten. It got eaten.
Eated.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, so that was pretty much the week. Pretty fun, but also pretty taxing. I'm definitely feeling it today too. But yeah, with that, we shall move on to our weirdest quirks / habits. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know I tend to do a lot of weird things. I know Davey's on Team Weird, but there are a lot of things that like I don't intend to do necessarily intentionally that I kind of just do and really only kind of realized after the fact that like, I'm doing this weird thing and it's a little bit strange because I can't tell you why I'm doing it, but I tend to do it every single time. So I have a laundry list of stuff, but I don't know about you guys or who wants to take over the helm and go first. I mean, just kind of go around, I guess.
Yeah, I'll start. It's funny because I thought at the beginning, before we started recording, I was like, man, I don't know what quirks I have. I feel like as a weird dude, I should have a lot of them, but I feel like I don't. But they've all started just coming back to me suddenly. I think the biggest one that I have the most people like questioning me about is I have this weird habit of rocking back and forth in the car.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure I know Kevin noticed that. I think you've noticed it too, Josh, but I do have this habit. It happens on particularly longer drives. And generally if I'm in the passenger seat and I'm not actually driving myself. But yeah, I rock back and forth. I think it has to do with like I'm bored with Drive, and sorry for hitting the mic there. I just have that need to like move. You know, it's in correlation of like, you know, the people who like rock their legs back and forth.
Hmm.
I'm literally doing it right now. By the way, I've just noticed it. I'm rocking my legs back and forth, but it's that same thing of like I'm doing that constant movement. So yeah, it's weird. I don't know why. As a baby, I used to in the crib while I was sleeping, I would like rock back and forth and hit my head against the crib. That was a thing I did. Also, when I was younger, I would like in bed, I would lay down and like this was my head, this was my butt, and I used to rock my butt back and forth. So something in my brain like speaks comfort to the rocking, and I still do it to this day. It's just I don't even notice it most times.
Interesting.
Yeah, I definitely feel you with the leg thing because I'm doing that as well. That's one of mine. Where I'll do that, or I'll do, and you'll see this on camera. I'll do this where I'm rocking back like side to side, just because I tend to. So I have a little like foot thing under my desk, but it's so close to the tripod I have the camera on, so I don't like putting my foot on there because I fear them to bump the camera. At least when recording the podcast, so I tend to put my feet onto the legs where the casters are for the chair. So that's why I tend to just push and then just rock side to side, just without knowing, because I tend to be a foot mover myself quite a bit. It's not even on my list. I just know that I do it.
Turns out we all do that. Because I also do a little bit of the side to side spinning motion.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much in the car, but in a spinny chair, I definitely do frequently.
It's so easy to do it in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like the human body always wants to just be moving and doing something. I don't know. My body does, at least.
For sure. I'll get on to one of mine here. Very weird quirk. I think I tied this back to my soccer playing days. I always tend to put my left foot and hand into either my socks or shoes or gloves respectively first. Always have to go left side first. I don't know why I started this, but part of me wants to think that it's like the superstition of like sport, that kind of associated with sports, where it's like you do one thing and you kind of just keep doing it. It becomes just like your habit and like your little thing, and it becomes like a pregame ritual type of situation. But yeah, it's something that even to this day, I still put my left foot into socks or shoes first. And it's funny because sometimes, especially with like, I have like slippers that I use around the house, I'll like sometimes partially put my right slipper on just so I'm not stepping on the floor, and then I'll fully insert my left foot into the sandal, and then I can put my right foot in. Like that's how, to the point where I don't know why it started it, but I'll always try to do the left side first. And for gloves, it started because I played goalkeeper, so that's how the gloves kind of got tied into it with the shoe thing. But I think going back, that was where it really started for me. The left side thing was soccer. So yeah, it's just something that's endured ever since.
Interesting.
They're very interesting. I know, like, I have like a general way I like to put on clothes, but I'm not like super committed to it. So, like, I know, obviously, human habit, you do something and you just unconsciously do it forever. But it's weird that you have this like it has to be the left foot. Right?
Yeah.
There is no breaking that. That's what intrigues me about it.
That's what's weird about it. Like, to the point where I will make sure that my right foot won't go into the shoe or whatever it is, like, first. Like, it has to be the left side. I don't know why. That's probably my biggest one that I find myself doing every single day.
Okay. Well, I am obviously perfectly normal. No weird quirks. So, this is a very short list. No, I like to hold things with my mouth, like pens, pencils, keys, whatever it is. If I need my hand free, mouth is my first thought. Not like set it down, which is apparently strange. I don't know. I think everyone else is weird about it.
That's fair. Like, I also get that because, especially right now, due to the pandemic whole situation, and like not putting things in your mouth, like that's where I noticed like just a handful of things, like getting your keys, and you're like, oh, let me pick out the key, and you put it in your mouth, and I always resist the urge to do that now, just because of the whole nature of the situation. But I find myself wanting to do that more, or at least catch myself doing it more.
Just keep wearing your mask.
It's true.
24/7, man. Nothing goes in your mouth.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I need to go get it real quick. No, but that's an interesting one.
I'm there with you, Kevin. I honestly am. Your mouth can be so versatile to just hold stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll use my nose to activate my phone. We don't use our faces enough other than to emote and talk. We need to use it for more things. So I'm behind 2021. Use your mouth more to hold things specifically.
Yes.
All right, Davey, what do you got?
Well, my next one's a weird one. No one's ever no one's ever approached me about this one, but it's something that I do very often. And I actually have shirts in my closet that I will pick them out specifically to go with this weird quirk. But if I have something that is like particularly, I don't know how to describe the texture, but I guess soft is probably the best way. Something so soft that it may quote unquote tickle. I have the habit of rubbing my fingers against it. Like, to give you an example, take like the bottom part of my shirt here. I'll just do like this for literally all day. I'm not joking you, literally all day. I have a piece of cloth in my bed that at night I do it with. Just because it's just, I don't know, I like the tactile feel. It's, I guess, some sensory register in my brain of this feels nice, it's comforting, it's understandable. I will do it with papers. So some papers with frayed edges will do it for me too. Like if they get wet, they just feel soft and nice. I don't know what it is. I'm sure now that you know that I do it, you guys will notice it because I do it all the time. I think it's really weird, but I've never talked to anyone about it. It's just weird. It's just kind of weird.
It's actually something that I totally understand, and I'll circle back to it because I need to at least preface it with the next quirk that I have. So when I was a kid, a small baby, my grandma made this pillow for me. It used to be like satin type material. It was silver. So I would sleep with that thing pretty much every single night. Eventually, I guess she ran out of like that satin material and it became a blue pillow. Then that was a bit easier to wash on the outside. So it became one where instead of her washing it, because sand's a little bit harder to wash, she would just at some point, after she got tired of like hand cleaning it, she would just put another layer on top. So then that's when it ended up becoming like this lumpy kind of pillow that's kind of hard, but like weird in that way. So now it has like a blue washable outer on it. And the thing that I would do and why I relate to your thing, Davey, is the corners. I do the same exact thing where you just rub the corner on and it's just that feeling of like, I don't know what it is. It just calms me down. So for me, I don't So for me, like, I don't tend to sleep with that pillow anymore as often. If I have like a particularly bad day or something, then I'll pull it out. But also, I have the wifey now there, so a little hard to kind of sleep with the pillow and her by my side. So that's why I kind of started moving away from it. But I mean, even as early as 4 or 5 years ago, when I was still living with my mom, I would still sleep with that pillow every single night. So, like I said, and like I said, there's still a handful of days where I'll still sleep with it even to this day. But I definitely feel that corner thing.
I feel like most people have blankets instead of pillows, but it's all the same. It's a comfort object.
And if I ever need to be in a pillow fight, you're losing, because I will knock you out with that pillow.
Good to know. Another one of my quirks is how often I'll repeat myself in like 3s or 4s. Like, sure. It's something I say a lot, and that gets pointed out frequently to me.
That reminds me of the Community character Vaughn. Hi, hello, good morning.
Yeah, I do something similar at work. Not
Okay.
like with hellos, but other things.
Yeah, I've noticed that of you a little bit. I mean, the sure, the cool, right? Just the repeating of words.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you my ashamed habit that I have developed over the last couple years. It has developed strictly out of like stress, I think, and just like general anxiety. I bite my nails. I did not do this as a child. I did not do this as a teenager. I did not do this for the majority of my adult life. But since my last job, and especially when the stress like was hitting me hard, it's just something that I started doing. I think part of it stems with I'm not really good and attentive about cutting my nails. Generally, they get too long, and then at that moment where I'm like, it just hurt. Like I scratch myself, right? I cut myself when I'm itching. I'm like, oh shit, okay, time to cut my nails. But I feel I don't really remember the last time that I properly cut my nails because I've just been biting them away. I think there's also some like solace in the feeling of putting the nail in between my tooth. Like, have you ever had something stuck in your tooth and the pressure of it kind of feels good? No? You never like put a straw or a toothpick between your tooth and you're like, this feels good? Just me? Cool. Glad to know that. Yeah, I've done that.
Bonus quirk.
I do that with my nails, and then the nail like breaks and then I just bite the rest of it off. So, guys, I'm just realizing how fucking weird I am.
To be fair,
there's something wrong with my brain.
Well,
I think that one is relatively common.
I think biting your nails. I think the method that I bite my nails is the weird part. Like if I find solace in like jamming my nail in between my tooth and that breaking my nail and then me just biting the rest of it off.
Maybe. Or maybe that's why everyone bites their nails. I don't know.
Maybe. That could be true.
We'll need to conduct a study of some sort. But to an extent, I feel you on the straw thing. I tend to have like my canines are pretty pronounced, so like I would every now and again like just put a straw around the canine.
The walrus.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of feel you on there a little bit. But yeah, my next one. My next one is something I've finally got away from, but for a long while, I would wear my socks inside out.
I do remember this about you. Yes.
Yes, for a very specific reason. And it was, of all freaking things, the movie Finding Forrester, where Sean Connery does the same thing, and he goes, "Why would I wear a sock where the seam is on the inside when it is far more comfortable to have the seam on the outside so your toe doesn't hit the seam anymore?" And at that very moment, as I'm sitting there watching this movie for a completely different reason in school, I felt my toe, my big toe, like moving and touching that seam, and it just bugged me to no end. So I would then wear my socks inside out. The reason why I've gotten away from it is because I've started using more like athletic socks, and they tend to be seamless. So I don't have to wear them inside out. But if I do get like just cheap socks or anything like that, they're inside out. Also, to be fair, I wear ankle socks, or no-show socks, even though they tend to be ankle socks. So you won't really ever see them anyway, so you can't really tell. But yeah.
Yeah, I knew about that one, but only because you told me before, I think. I don't think I ever noticed it on my own.
Yeah, it's not really something that, like I said, was really noticeable, per se. Yeah, it's something I used to do.
I get it, though.
Yeah.
It's life-changing if you haven't tried it.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of any other quirks. Like, I'm sure I have a bunch. I just don't notice them, or I don't think they're strange.
Fair.
That's fair.
I come from a weird family. I don't know. To me, all those things are totally normal.
I'll give you another one.
Hmm.
I parrot a lot of stuff. I like a lot of things, just like lines in movies, people talking to me, noises, right? If my brain registers it as something interesting, I immediately will just like parrot it. And I think it comes from like more of like an acting background of I like the idea of trying to find those interesting things and repeat them and make that sound and make it entertaining. And they say imitation is the highest form of flattery. But I do it because I don't know, I've got that like actor's performance brain, and like you got to get into character, and you use these little noises to get into character, and I don't know, it's just kind of that. I promise you, if there's any other like actors or performers that are listening, they're immediately like, "Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I get you," because I don't think I'm getting this point across.
Well, to an extent, I feel like the other really common one that we have that I see a lot is like, especially whenever we get like foreigners or something, like, "Oh, you're from England," you immediately break into an accent. You immediately start like trying to talk, and it's like they obviously like 99% of the time it's just like trying to be flattery, but like at least for me, half the time it comes off as almost a little rude. It's like, "Oh, you're from Australia, put another shrimp on the barbie." Like, oh no, but yeah, I feel like that's one that I kind of resonate, and parroting kind of does make a little bit of sense, especially from an acting perspective. Like, you find it interesting, you just want to fine tune it and make it, entertaining, and have that be another tool in your belt. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's weirder when I do it with sounds, when it's just random sounds. I'll do it a lot of the times too for that. Just
yeah. It's just I'll be at work and all of a sudden I'll just hear ah.
I don't know what to tell you.
I wish I was kidding. Anyway, I'll move on. There's a couple that I do in walking. I know I mentioned this to you, Davey, but I have the tendency to walk behind people. And it stems from this one. I can trace back a bit. It stems from when I was a little bit younger, like teenage years, I'd say. We would always like go out in like pretty decent sized group, like my family and stuff. So whenever we would go to like, we'll say like Disneyland or something, I would always be in the back and kind of being like the shepherd, if you will, to make sure that like everyone is moving in the right direction and someone's not getting like distracted or going away from the group or something like that. It's like I was just kind of a measure for me to like make sure that everyone was going in the right direction and no one was getting lost. And I figured at that point I was a little bit older. I could defend myself if I needed to, since I did take several years of karate, self-defense, karate, very basic, but very great sensei. So that's where I kind of felt, hey, like if I need to like step in or like if I see something, like I can kind of go from there and make sure everyone's kind of safe, you know. So that's one where I tend to still walk behind people, and as a result, people tend to open a lot of doors for me, just because I'm always behind them. Just I guess a byproduct of that. The other one is that I will always walk on the street side of the wifey, just to again a protective measure where it's like if something were to happen, it's just like the gentleman's thing to do. I don't know, just a habit that developed from my grandma reminiscing about her old days when we took a trip to Mexico, and how she said that people would do that, or they'd, if there were like two women walking on the street and the village we were in was really narrow, the like the sidewalks, so she'd say like, oh, they'd walk in the street like just to make sure that they were okay, like. So ever since then, it kind of just stuck in the back of my mind, and always try to do the gentleman's thing.
I had an ex-girlfriend that was really, really about that. Of like, she wouldn't like come out and right and say it. She talked about it a couple times, but she was very much like, I really want you to walk on the street side of the sidewalk. You know, kind of that old-fashioned idea of the gentlemanly thing. So I do it. I think I do it a lot more than I think about because of that. You know, you're sitting there, you're trying to impress the girl every time, and she likes it, so you're gonna do it. So it's just kind of something that developed out of that.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. One for Kevin. The way you laugh. It's not really a quirk, but like
it's peculiar.
You tend to like squint your eyes, and then do, instead of a laugh, it's more of an exhale.
Yeah. I tend to be, okay, this is a quirk. I tend to be quiet in like everything I do, and it extends to laughing.
The other one is sneezing.
Further extension of just being quiet.
Yeah. Because like even yesterday, like the only reason I knew you sneezed was because I looked over at you.
Yep.
I think another weird quirk for you, Kevin, that I've noticed is, and this one's a very specific to Discord. I feel like you mute yourself when you really don't have to, and I think it is that desire to be quiet. But most of the time, like right now, there's not a sound beyond what the voice is coming out of your mouth. But it's so funny that it's just immediate mute and immediate unmute, immediate mute.
Yeah, that one is so that I can be quiet in the voice chat, but be as loud as I want, or just like doing something on my desk in the room. It's not even like cutting out noise from other people or other sources. I don't know. It's a push to talk thing, I guess, because I did prefer push to talk for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is easier than that.
It's just a funny thing to me, because I feel like every time we've done this, the people that we've been with, it's never been an issue, but you're still just like, mute, unmute.
Yeah, definitely. It's weird.
I get it though.
He just wants to be able to curse at the top of his lungs. All right, Davey, what you got for me?
This one is probably my most notable one. I generally approach people, and I will always do a weird character or a weird voice as the first interaction in that moment. For the most part. I know Josh knows this well, because I do it a lot at work. Well, I'll just look at him and I'll make a noise and I'll do something just generally odd. I find it fun. I find it engaging. I generally like to throw people off their balance real quick, keep them on their toes. Not because I'm trying to gain any upper hand, just because I think it's funny when people have to react to something that they don't expect. And I like to react to things that I don't expect either. I like to find the weird and wacky and the mundane. And so I like to insert that into other people's lives. Just give them a weird voice. Give them something different. I like it.
Thinking back on it, I can definitely say that's a true statement.
Yeah.
Not something that I noticed before.
You probably just got too used to it.
Yeah.
Just Davey being Davey.
Quite literally. All right, I got one here that maybe you guys might relate. I don't necessarily do it with my car radio because my car radio is a little bit weird, but TV volume has to be an even number or a multiple of 5.
I do multiples of 5 on the TV and multiples of 3 in the car. Well, 3 minus 1. Or plus 1? Plus 1.
I can relate to that. I think I used to do that. I'm now at a point in my life that I do not get that luxury anymore because my hearing is so bad that I just need to find the perfect volume, no matter the number. Although the car, I have found the perfect volume and I stay there. And it has not moved. It's 30, by the way. It's 30.
Mm.
See, what's really weird is like I think my car goes up to like 9 or 38 or something random. So that's the reason why it doesn't apply for me. But if it's on the freeway, it's a 19, which is about halfway up. And if it's driving around, it's usually around a 12.
I have no clue what my car's volume maxes out at. But surface streets when it's quiet is a 7. 10 if it's a little bit loud, and freeway is a 13.
Man, you guys are on those numbers. My speakers must suck.
Apparently. Yeah, my TV is at 30 constantly. 30 or 28. Just depends on what channel I'm watching. Although, you know what really irks me, though? And I keep saying this. No shade to the boys over at Sorted. Love you guys' show. Love everything you do. But every now and again, we'll watch like one episode after another, and like there will be a massive volume spike of like, I have to turn you down. And I try not to do that with this episode, with this podcast. So I'm sorry if I do, but I'm always trying to equalize at -3 decibels. That's always what I'm trying. That's always the target I hit or try to hit. It may fluctuate by a decibel or two just because all 3 of us have like 3 different ways of talking. So it becomes a lot harder to try and balance it. But I always try to do that. Make sure it's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
All right. You got any more, Davey?
Nothing that I can think of. I'm sure I have a million, but nothing comes up at the top
It's
of my
tough to think of them.
Yeah.
Kind of is.
You don't normally do.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for like ever since I thought of the idea for the episode. To be fair, because like I said, part of it kind of stemmed from just me. Like I do a lot of weird stuff, so I just love a handful on my list. But I'll go through. I go through, I think 3 of them. 3/4. One of them is kind of sort of related, but also not at all. The one thing I do a lot is talk to myself a lot, have full-blown conversations, and like just talk things out. I feel like for me, it's like a way of venting half the time, especially if like someone's not there. And then also what I like to do is, especially if I know I'm gonna have like a difficult conversation or something, I'd like to try and like play out scenarios so that I can then get that message across as best as I can, even if I end up flubbing it anyway. But I always try and just do that, and it's kind of like an exercise for me to, like I said, decompress a bit, but also just talk to myself, because I don't know. I feel like if you're able to talk things out with yourself, it just helps a little bit. At least that's one of the things that I tend to do, especially with like mental health and stuff. Just talk it out. So there's that one. The other one is, especially now, it's more prevalent, even though now that we're not going out as much. Soon here, hopefully, things will get a little bit better. But whenever I go to like a restaurant or something, I have the tendency of sitting facing the main entryway, no matter what. Just because if there's a threat that is inbound, I'm able to visualize it. So that's something I kind of do. And then on like the restaurant and food related side of things, I tend to eat food not necessarily in a particular order, but I'll almost always eat one thing, then the next, then the next, then the next. I don't really mix the food, except for, I think the only exception is like eggs and hash browns for me, because then I douse it in ketchup, the condiment that Davey loves.
Eggs and hash browns? Oh, so perfect. Add the ketchup, you've ruined it.
To each his own.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially sunny side up egg. Oh. Or an over easy egg, just the yolk running through and getting through it's so good.
You reminded me of a weird eating habit that I have, is a burgers in particular, but sandwiches as well. I will always eat the outside of the burger first, and then I will eat the center.
Really?
It has the most flavor. It is the most consistent of all of the ingredients of the burger is in the middle. You don't get too much bun. You don't get too much meat. Everything is always in the middle, and I want that to be my last bite. I want it to be the most enjoyable part of the meal.
I feel like I should have noticed this earlier.
Watch, yeah. I do it for every burger I eat. Every rounded sandwich, I will always do it that way. I will do it sometimes with like tacos too, where I'll eat the outside of the taco and then go in. Get all that crusty shell out of there. I want it all at once.
So are you a edge brownie person or a center brownie person?
I actually have no opinion, and I will eat both. No problem. But probably the middle brownie person. It's the most chewy and soft.
Okay.
I do it with cookies as well.
Okay.
Or at least bigger cookies. Oreos are like a one bite.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, Oreos are a scoop out the filling of one, put in another.
Well, Oreos is dunk in milk until it's so soggy it breaks in your fingers, and then eat it.
No, it's so soggy that it's in your milk, and then you drink it because it broke off into your.
That's a happy accident.
But yeah, kind of coming back to that eating one, I always tend to have like my drink or water after the meal. After I've already finished the meal. The only exception to that is coffee. For some reason, coffee will be like the only thing that I'll actually drink during the meal. But like, I'm also not really one to get a drink. Like coffee, maybe a water, but I tend to just not order a drink most of the time. Especially because, at least for a long time, I didn't drink much soda or anything carbonated or anything. So it's like, but also like liquid calories.
See, I'm the opposite. I always have to have something with my meal. And now, mind you, most of the time these days it's just water, but I have to have water with my meal. I have to.
I'm
My mouth
terrible with my
feels-
water intake. To be fair.
Get better.
Yeah. I'm working on it. That's why I'm having like sparkling water and stuff like that too. That's where I'm introducing that regimen, if you will. But yeah, the last one that I want to share, and this is for anyone who has maybe noticed it, especially on the video version of this podcast. I tend to wear like the same 4 shirts like everywhere. Like I know at work there's the 4 button-up shirts, and then it's Casual Friday, so it'll be one of the other 4 shirts that I wear at home. But like literally, I have like probably 7 of these like heather gray shirts, but especially on podcasts, you can't ever see the design because any part of the design is covered by the mic or below the camera level, so it just looks like I'm wearing the same shirt. But I promise you, I think I've only worn the same shirt on 2 of the episodes.
Oh, this
Ages
is
old.
episode 11?
And this is episode 11.
Okay.
But they just all look the same. That's all. That's it. But I tend to fall in the camp of like, I understand like why like Zuckerberg and like Steve Jobs would do this. It's just like one less decision you have to make. Just here, grab this. It's like it's always one of those like handful of shirts. Just makes it easier for me.
Sure.
I kind of like picking out my shirts because sometimes it dictates my mood for the day. Because I do have favorite shirts. I think a lot of people do, but I do have a couple favorite shirts. And sometimes when I'm like, I need that extra softness at the bottom of my shirt to rub all day, I'll wear this shirt. Or if it's like, man, I want today to be a great day, I will wear my favorite shirt.
That's fair.
And I like making that choice every morning.
I have tiers of shirts. So this is like, this is an A tier. This is my favorite shirts. This is a B tier. I'll wear this. You know, if I don't have any more favorite shirts, this is a C tier. Laundry day.
I have 2 tiers. I have A tier, the ones that fit, and B tier, the ones that don't.
Fair.
I have those as well. I think half of my closet is filled with shirts that I can't wear because I'm too big. And I think they sit there as like I'm going to be skinny one day.
It's good to have goals. Yeah.
My motivation. But like the other thing too, and especially like we understand just because of work, each like garment itself, each shirt is so flippin' different in terms of size. Like what's an XL in one is like a 2XL in another, and vice versa. So it's like I tend to know that these have their gray ones because they have a little bit of what is it, poly, I think, in it.
Polyester. Mm-hmm.
So they tend to be a bit more stretchy. So I know they're going to fit more comfortably, which is why I have so many of them. And they're a little bit softer as well. So it's like, that is my logic behind it. But
That's fair.
yeah, that's why I wear a lot of like these shirts. Like this one especially. It's from the Grand Canyon. I got it recently during the honeymoon when I went to the Grand Canyon for the first time. This shirt is so comfortable. It's almost as comfy as the shirt you wore yesterday.
Oh,
David.
really? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a really comfy shirt.
Yeah. I'm surprised by that shirt, actually.
Me too.
But
honestly, me too. With the amount that it costs to actually get that shirt.
So cheap if you go wholesale. Oh my gosh. Under $2?
I think it's just a little bit over $2, like a couple cents over.
2 and some change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway. Topic for another day, maybe.
Next episode, shirts.
Everything you need to know. Are you overpaying for your shirts? Yes. Tune in next week. No. Yeah. Those are the ones that I want to share. Are there any ones that like you've noticed? I know we've kind of picked out some for Kevin, but like, any you guys have noticed in either me or Davey or Kevin that we haven't mentioned?
I think the only one that I've noticed of you, Josh, is that like talking to yourself. I think you actually do it a lot at work. And I think what happens a lot is like it's like a word will come out and then it'll be a little bit silent. Like the conversation will continue in your head, and then another word will come out, and then the conversation will continue in your head. That's kind of like that weird kind of movement you do with that conversation.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's interesting.
Yeah, apparently. Here's another one that, according to people, family and the wifey, I tend to murmur in my sleep.
Hmm.
So it's like almost full conversations, but like, yeah. Apparently.
I definitely caught you talking to the brisket yesterday. I don't know if that was you talking to yourself and you just happened to be standing over the brisket.
Probably.
Hmm.
Half the time I'm not even aware I'm doing it.
Mm,
To be completely honest, I'd be like, oh, well, that's good. Or, oh, this tastes pretty good. And it's just to like no one.
sure.
I don't know. I just like to talk, apparently.
Can I bring up some like common quirks that people have and see how you guys relate to them?
Sure.
Sure.
The first one, specifically how you walk on sidewalks, avoiding cracks in the sidewalk. Do you guys?
There
I
was
used to do that so hard.
Yeah, there was a minute where I was like, oh yeah. Not so much because I believe in the superstition, but like just because, especially sometimes, there's like those sidewalks that are like super cracky. You're just like, can I avoid them? It becomes like a game almost.
Okay. Here's another
hang
one.
On, before we move on.
Okay.
I used to count the number of steps within like one panel of concrete in a sidewalk to see how consistent I was. That was like last year.
So the only reason why I haven't done that is because in Boy Scouting, when we were learning like how to use compasses and stuff and distance, we actually did the pacing thing where we would walk at a normal pace to find out how many paces it is for like 100 feet, right?
Yeah.
So I know that I'm 24 on my left foot and 23 on my right. So like I've just remembered that, so I don't tend to do that anymore. But I can relate to that in that regard.
All right, next one. This is also another walking related one. Going out of your way for crunchy leaves. No, not you.
No.
Mm-mm.
I don't want anything crunchy under my foot. Gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Love crunchy leaves. Step on them all the time.
That is definitely a common one. I hear that so often.
Yeah.
I don't go out of my way, but I definitely don't mind it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go out of my way to avoid them.
The whole scale here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Third walking one. Kicking the rock. All the way
kick
down.
The rock.
I'm a soccer player, dude. Like, come on.
I think that's a big one.
There was a minute where I would chew a lot of gum, especially playing soccer, just to keep like my mouth hydrated and stuff. Because you couldn't always get like have a drink of water, but every time like after the games, it was such a bad habit that I would do, where I would spit out the gum in air and then kick it in midair. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why I would do that, but it's so bad because I'm just polluting over here and littering. But I would do it all the time.
Much shame.
It's kind of a neat trick.
Okay.
Sure.
Here's the next one. Either apologizing or yelling at the inanimate object you just bumped into.
Hmm.
You know, considering I talk to myself a lot, I'm just gonna assume that I apologize. Just the safe bet.
Fair.
'Cause I'm gonna say no consciously, but subconsciously, let's be honest.
I know I do. I know, like, if I like bump into something, I always have some kind of offhand comment to say to it. I don't know why.
There's one time you bumped into something, you're like, hey, watch where you're going. I think it was like
I
a
do
desk
that.
or something.
I
It
do
was
do
so
that.
good.
Yeah, I do that. It's funny. I don't know what to tell you. Peak humor.
It really is, though.
That is interesting. I definitely don't apologize to things consciously, but I'll make surprised reactions, just like noises, not yelling at it, just kind of like a yelp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. Someone
It
expects to
startles
bump
you.
into something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I would normally be startled by a desk, but when it's in your way, what's it doing there?
Here's something you may or may not be able to relate to, especially as like people who don't drink a lot of soda, but the having to push all the buttons on a lid of a drink you got at a fast food joint.
No, I still enjoyed that. I stopped ever since I grew up, but like when I was smaller and drinking soda a lot.
I don't have any
Um,
opportunities, but I definitely do it, probably to this day.
That's the one that I just don't even do. It doesn't. I have no desire to press those little buttons in the lid. Yeah. How about so this is another one. I guess having a fear of being in a bathroom while it's dark. Just avoiding bathrooms that are dark.
I'm not a big fan of the dark in general. It's not so much that of a fear of it. It's just that I like to be able to see where I'm going. And especially now that I have little cats, I don't want to be kicking people or little fur babies. So, and then again, stemming from camping and stuff, you don't want to step on stakes and stuff like that. So, and that's kind of where that derives from. But I definitely need the light on if I'm in the restroom, though. Because it feels weird otherwise. Especially when it comes to wipe, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna get up and then turn on the light and then wipe. Like, we don't need that.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a logistical issue at that point.
I guess I'm generally a lights off kind of guy if I can help it, which is perhaps strange.
No, I think that's fair. Easier on the eyes. I was looking at a list. Here's another one that's not on the list, but I feel like a lot of people do it. When you've realized from walking that you have forgotten something, or if you're walking from point A to point B, you have forgotten something in point A, so you pantomime like you've oh, I've got a recent text message, or there's someone calling me and I've got to go back. Have you done that?
Created a false narrative for me to go back?
Just in case anyone's watching? No. I might be explaining it wrong. But it's another one that I feel like...
But I definitely don't do it.
Okay.
But I also, if I realize I forgot something on my way, I like refuse to make a U-turn. I'll come up with some other contrived path back. It's awful. I've gotten lost so many times. Just creative navigation.
I definitely would do like the pat down. Like even if it's not something that'll be in there. Like I've done that for my glasses before. Just like, wait.
Yeah, I feel like you shouldn't generally be patting for glasses. Just
exactly.
In case.
But I'll tend to literally just... It's funny because I'll do the front pockets and the back pockets because I tend to wear jeans, especially out. Every now and again I'll have shorts, but I tend to do the back pockets, but I never put anything in my back pockets. Like ever. Like I shouldn't say ever, but it's super, super rare. So it's funny because I tend not to put things in my back pockets. So when I do, I tend to forget them. But then I forgot them because I don't put things in my back pockets. So it's kind of like this weird circle sometimes where it's like, I'll have to like, if I put something in there and I can't help it, I'll keep my hand there just to make sure I don't forget it, because I will forget it.
Sure. On the topic of pockets, do you guys put specific things in specific pockets?
Yes.
Like your keys always go in one pocket?
Well, no, but yes. I have a carabiner for my keys.
Sure.
So this is on my back. My phone is always in my right pocket. My wallet's always in my left.
If I'm wearing jeans, which I am most of the time, it is keys in front left pocket, phone in back left pocket, wallet in back right pocket, and then if I'm carrying my headphones, which I do most times, those go in my front right pocket. If I'm wearing like shorts, phone and keys in front left pocket, everything else in front right pocket. I'm left-handed, by the way, so that's why.
Yeah. I now have the garage clicker in my wallet pocket. Just because I'm having issues with the garage door. And then if I have shorts, it'll change, because at that point I don't have the carabiner, so I do have to have my keys on me. So then it'll be wallet and keys in the left pocket, and the garage clicker and my phone in the right. Just so I'm not scratching my screen as much.
Yeah, I thought the keys and phone was an odd combination, but maybe we're just being overprotective of our phones. So it's not like Davey's phone is all scratched up.
If this was 2005, I would understand. But we live in 2021 where every phone's got Gorilla Glass 17 on it. That scratches from keys are just not really happening.
Yeah.
I have not heard of a single person scratching their phone from keys for like 10 years.
I just don't like the feeling of keys in my pocket, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
And at least with shorts, like, it's loose enough to where they're not like super tight. Because I have the wide, not hips, wide. Why do I have wide hips issue, where my hips are wider than my waist? So it's like I tend to have a lot of pressure right where the pockets are. So it's like the smoother I can get it, the better. But that's me.
I get that.
All right. Any more? Or shall we take a look at what our audience responses are for this week?
Take a look at the audience responses.
Audience responses. Here we go. So we have 2 this week because, again, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, I was a little bit not under the weather. It's not the right verbiage at all. Just not the best of headspaces to kind of. I was mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
It's mentally exhausted was what I was trying to say, but words are hard, so whatever. So this week we put out that question of, hey, what are y'all weird quirks and habits? So we got 2 responses here. From the photographer, says, I don't know if this is my weirdest quirk, but I openly admit to liking Crocs after trying a pair. They really are comfortable. So, are either of you socks and sandals kind of people?
No.
Nope. But I also don't like sandals. So.
Same.
Shoes, closed toes all the time.
That's fair. When you talk about sandals, are you referring to flip flops or the sandals that I have where it's just like one strap over?
All of them.
Okay.
Same. Doesn't matter.
Because I at home because I always tend to wear socks, but especially because we have kitty cats, we tend to get a lot of like litter and stuff on the floor. So like I tend to not want to walk on them with socks. So I tend to only at home be socks and sandals.
At home, I prefer not socks or shoes, just barefoot.
Just socks all the time for me.
That's what I would be.
Just socks.
If I could. I just need to be cleaning, I guess. Although,
Yeah.
right now, bare feet and sandals.
Hmm.
Because I forgot to put on socks. But anyway, moving on. Kelly responds with, I think the most common quirk I have that people can probably relate to is spelling out Wednesday. I always break it down to Wednesday. Because let's be honest, it's weird.
It is
February is another one.
Very.
Yeah. Then she also says, also when driving, I tend to turn the radio volume down when I'm looking for a specific address, particularly when I'm going somewhere for the first time. I like to think it helps me focus better. Which that's
Probably
actually pretty
does.
relatable.
Yeah.
You know, especially if a jam comes on, you're like, oh, sorry, I can't jam out right now. I just need to find this place.
Yep.
But yeah, those are the two that we got this week. So thank you very much to them. And sorry for not actually, getting more responses and getting the question out there a little bit further. But I will, again, work on that. It's just been a whole lot of stuff at work. Mentally taxing, but we'll get there. So yeah, if you want to follow us on any of the socials, feel free to follow us at Audible Anomaly. And if you want to hit us up via email, maybe have a little question or two that you want to share a little bit more privately, and that you feel more comfortable doing that, you can always reach out to us at audibleanomaly@gmail.com. And that is going to do it for this week's episode. Before we head off, let's take care of our plugs. Davey, what are you working on? Where can we watch you?
Well, I'm always working on the same thing I'm always working on, and that's streaming and video games. So you can find me on Twitch, DPR or twitch.tv/DPRLtron. Having a lot of fun there. I'm doing weird and wacky things like we did the brisket stream yesterday. So come and join me there. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. How about you, Kevin?
You can find me a new headphone stand. Right now, I'm just using a microphone arm. It's not great. Could use some help there, but other than that, have fun.
Yeah, you can always use the IKEA tree that I have for headphones.
I have seen that. I mean, I'm just something on my desk would be nice. Small, ideally. I don't know. I gotta work on it.
That's fair. Well, if you have any suggestions, reach out to us. For me, you can follow me at Bromium404 on YouTube and at Bromium wherever you get your social media. And that's going to wrap it up for this week. Next week's episode, we are talking about the greatest challenge that we've had in recent memory. And there has been, obviously, quite a few. So we hope to hear from y'all and share our experiences with a lot of our challenges here pretty shortly. But until then, we've been Audible Anomaly, and we will talk at you next week. Bye!